This is my baby, and my baby's ugly now. I don't like it anymore. Who's going to tell me where to go eat and drink in Soho? Oh, no one here really knows food. They're all general writers. I think one thing with marketing a brand, I love just being just authentic and just being real and vulnerable.
So Mal is the show that's about marketing. It's about growth. But let's flip that script for just a moment and let's talk about growing a brand and marketing a brand and understanding what that looks like in this incredibly challenging but exciting industry. And I am so excited because we have you, Meghan, to talk about that at not only InMobi, but your track record of coming in and I think, building brand where the messaging, the marketing, it has to reach a certain point. Tell me about your career in making change, is what we'll call it, and improving on what's there.
Will do. And thank you for having me, Peggy.
Absolutely.
I'm really enjoy this conversation already. So I would consider myself a brand evangelist. I absolutely love wherever I work to really kind of get in there and figure out the DNA of the brand and how to find strategies and creative ways to make it show up where it really resonates with the audience. Now, spent most of my career in entertainment and media on the consumer side as a content marketer. Television, and then I shifted over to the internet when I was at Vice and Thrillist. But same principles where how do we tell stories? How do we surprise the audience with creativity, innovation, zigging while everybody's zagging? I don't ever like to do what everyone else is doing. And especially when it comes to creative and marketing and storytelling, if everybody is kind of taking one approach, I always want to do something unexpected because and I'm always thinking of the focus group of one, that end user, what's going to make them surprised or excited or find a moment of, wow, that was really clever. And that also comes down to another one of my beliefs is, obviously there's concept and execution, but execution is even more important than the concept. You can take an idea maybe that's been thought of before that's not totally original, but the way that you spin it and come up with a way to interpret it could be really unexpected, and you find that magic when you connect with the audience, and they really appreciate that.
I love how you say that, you come in and you investigate and you look at the DNA of the brand. I mean, we'll get to your current position, but even in the other companies and exciting companies, I mean, not that marketing isn't exciting and ad tech, but you have so much opportunity to sort of understand what does the brand stand for, understand the DNA. Tell me a little bit about that process, because I think that many in our audience, even if they're in B2B, they have to do that exploration. And it's a process. I'd love to know how you do that, because picking out that core and that special core, that special message, something that's going to surprise us. How do you go about that, Meghan?
I mean, well, two great examples of that are, one was my time at Vice, where I came from television, a long career at A&E, History Channel, AMC Networks.
Okay.
Moved over, Vice was at an inflection point. They were launching a cable channel, so this was a new medium. It was started as a punk magazine, then moved into a suite of websites. Then they wanted to figure out storytelling long form on television, and Viceland was born, and Spike Jonze was the creative director behind it. So I always want to say there's a reason this company was successful. What was it that made it successful? But how do we take that DNA and preserve it, but then to find a way to adapt it for modern times? Yeah. So for that brand of Viceland, I always said this is the equivalent of Shane Smith having a baby with Oprah. It's like we have this real punk rock sensibility, which we love, more inclusive, kind of everybody's welcome, just come as you are approach, and a very transparent communication with the audience where we respected our audience. We built a community between ourselves, our talent, and our audience. And
when you have an interest in something, or you feel you have a voice, then it's engaging, then it's something you're committed to. So it becomes, I wouldn't say a love brand necessarily, but in that league.
I think one thing with marketing a brand, I love just being just authentic and just being real and vulnerable. I think a lot of consumers or in B2B, you see corporations trying to talk down at you or telling you how to think, or, hey, we're just packaging up what we want to say and forcing it on you, where I always let's just be honest. And Vice was a great place where we were very honest. We had Red Man DJing our bus that we would take around, and we couldn't pay to license the music that he was DJing. He was playing Steely Dan. And we just owned it. I remember that process of saying, well, we can't afford to license the music. And I said, well, it's okay. Just tell the audience that we couldn't afford to license music. And it was super funny, and people really appreciated that. And we had that philosophy of just show them how the sausage is made. And if something was, there was a mistake that was made, we would just tell you and own it. And people really felt, there's real people behind the scenes here that feel like they're my people, and I can relate to. And that was a great strategy that still to this day, RIP, that brand really doesn't exist anymore. But the work, I look back on it, and it just still feels so fresh and really relevant, and hit a cultural nerve because of its honesty.
What do you like about your job? You say you come in at the inflection point. Is it like the whole idea that something is evolving and it needs direction, but still needs to stay true to its roots? Is that the challenge? Is that the excitement for you, Meghan?
I like a challenge of how do we have to build, or we need to change course. I worked at a company called Thrillist, a food, drink, and travel website for 3 years, and that was more, hey, we had a voice and a particular point of view when we were a newsletter for men. And as we grew and became a national website, and our strategy, which was supposed to be about curation and helping people discover great places to eat, drink, and travel, became SEO. We just need to chase clicks, what's trending right now in SEO, and we'll write content against that. And the CEO who had started the brand, who would take on a larger role at the holding company, had came in and basically said, this is my baby, and my baby's ugly now. I don't like it anymore. And it was my voice. And we grew, and maybe that voice wasn't, again, as relevant anymore. And I could tell from the outside looking in, where it didn't feel like they really knew the places. And I came from Vice, where everybody had a point of view. People, and you can't teach taste. I think I learned that when I came into Thrillist, and I said, who's going to tell me where to go eat and drink in Soho? Oh, no one here really knows food. They're all general writers.
Oh.
And I said, yeah, I could tell from reading it. And this is supposed to be a recommendation and curation brand. And if you don't have that know-how and those chops and that local expertise, then your audience isn't going to resonate. You might be reaching your traffic goals, but when,
it's not going to hold.
Exactly.
It's not going to hold.
So that was a challenge, and don't crush the plane while it's flying. We have this huge staff. We're all reaching these various goals, but when we want to change the brand, it's a delicate balancing act of how you do that, but continue to make sure that, the machine is operating and you're hitting your audience goals. So, and then navigating through COVID was another very interesting challenge, but we really pushed through that, and we're basically a phoenix rising from the ashes. And a time you couldn't go out and couldn't go to your favorite place to eat burgers or travel to Europe, we pivoted the content in an organic way that made sense for our brand, which had a very positive outlook on life and wanted to experience. It was about experience culture. And while our competitors were covering depressing coronavirus news about the restaurant industry going under, we came up with ideas. One was called Ghost Kitchen, where we did pop-up delivery for iconic restaurants in New York that were struggling. Sylvia's in Harlem, or Rayo's, super famous Italian place, where we offered, custom delivery, where we would package up everything into cool branded items, and did that kind of pro bono to help restaurants.
That's turning it, it's a pivot, but it's also positivity. It's something I think that you've taken with you throughout your career of, it's going to change. It's going to change for the better. We're still going to stay very true to our roots, because that's what you stand for as a brand, right? Yep. That's your brand voice. But then amplifying that, elevating that, making it, transforming it. So if that's been your track record, and it is impressive, Meghan, and you come in at the moment when a new door is opening, a new opportunity, a new direction. So look at InMobi. And you're coming in at this point. What does that, first of all, tell us about the company InMobi? What is it's ready for a new inflection point.
I mean, I think InMobi's at a really exciting inflection point, and they realize that, almost 20-year-old global technology company.
True.
That prides itself. I like to say it's, Indian roots and heart and soul with a U.S. muscle, but a global pedigree. But innovation at the core always. So the company, InMobi made a big bet when they went into the advertising space on mobile before anyone had an iPhone. Everybody was on desktop,
I remember
right?
All of this.
And, Naveen, Abe, they're real visionaries and thought, no, we're going to place our bet where we think the whole, society is going. And that's why, InMobi had so much success in the mobile space. From there, obviously, we've grown to be omnichannel, but the next big bet before, everything's AI and Agentic right now, but really saw the future with Agentic changing the way that we live our lives, and that commerce was this real unlock that would change the shopping experience. So really, again, full innovation and entrepreneurial spirit, placing a big bet on Glance, and we are... the gap is closing because it's so fast, the race in AI, but we really have a leg up on this category where, a lot of LLMs are dabbling in agentic commerce, but it's text-based. This is fully 3 levels of AI model. The visual experience is really exceptional.
I've seen demos.
Exceptional, and it's one selfie, and what they can do with one selfie to really be able to read so deeply into the shape of your face and your skin tone, and projecting that on your body, and kind of how that will interact with this commerce graph where they're bringing in all this different inventory across 400 plus different merchants is really exceptional, and it really is exciting just to see where we are and where it's going to go. Like, you can see when because tech is always going to get better, and they're going to continue to strengthen it.
And it fits in with where we are as customers, because I'm thinking about, I went to a Google event, and actually Glance was speaking there, but from a very different perspective, because that audience was like about, how do I get into new markets? How do I recognize and take advantage of new opportunities? So it was learning from Glance how they did that, and that going global perspective, and what it takes actually to do that, and what is relevant and important. It was very much about the context, the vision. It was just a fantastic session. But the marketers, the app owners in the audience, they were enthralled, because they were like, yeah, that's where it can go. So through Glance, you can sort of stretch the imagination of what that can look like. Help me imagine then what you're going to be doing or changing or enhancing at InMobi to bring this out, because we know InMobi as, an OG in mobile. I mean, 20 years, and I've been in mobile for 20 years, so it's like the same time. But this vision as to what that can be when you have this enhanced, immersive commerce experience, it's going to be your job to tell us about that. It's almost like telling us about a new dimension.
Right, exactly. And I think that's
what... have us reimagine it.
Well, that's what really appealed to me about this role was there's so much to unpack, and there's no opportunity for a dull moment here, because you've got this really successful legacy company, right? They have this brand new company that they're launching. How do I tell the story of these two companies? How do we market an agentic product, which is new, which I was excited about. There's a lot of innovation, and everybody watched the shows and the programs I worked on, but those days are over, and it's hard. There's not a lot of innovation going on. It's true. More do more with less, and we're kind of trying to slim down and a lot more consolidation. This is a new world that we're all in together. How do you market an AI tool, and how do you speak to I'm in the enterprise marketing side, but how do we speak to brands, and how do we speak to our OEM partners and get them? They're nervous about taking a step in something so new, and it is AI, and there are pieces of it that you can't fully control. But for those who are the visionaries that can see where the innovation's going, you want to be in there now, or at least to start to dip your toe in, because it's just happening so quickly. But I was excited about that brand because obviously it's fashion, it's shopping, it's things that people really can understand and they see themselves in it, and there's a lot of fun you can have telling that story. But on the InMobi side too, I think with ad tech and B2B, I feel a lot of times marketers just don't feel they need to kind of go to 11. They sort of, just put the logo on the wall in the conference room, and we'll just do kind of the try it and true. We'll do the thought leadership package here. We'll do the lead gen strategy. We'll, the same tactics, but to come from consumer, I want to take the consumer tricks from the playbook and bring them to B2B. And before I was at InMobi, I was at Video Amp. That was my first ad tech role, and challenger brand trying to kind of take on Nielsen. So I was inspired by that story because that's like a David and Goliath narrative. But what I did was there, and which I'm doing here, there's no reason that we need to just do what everybody else is doing. So when I have an event, which my favorite things are experiential and events, what's our theme? How do we make it like...
you have a theme, Mal versus Vicious.
And this came out really quickly because I've only been here for 3 months, but it's
brilliant because that's what we're thinking. Is it team human? Is it machine? How does that work? So touching into that, that zeitgeist, that point.
Yeah, so that
leaves an impression.
Right, so we had a big robot event last night where we brought in a variety, and finding actual robots is harder than you think, but, there are a lot of people dressed as robots out there. So we had a good combination and a nice eclectic mix, but they haven't thought that way before, and I think it's because so product and so tech focused, the brand, sharpening the brand and having creative storytelling and innovation in the marketing, I don't think was top of mind as much as that's just who I am and what I get excited about. I love coming up with a cool idea like this, and how do we take the seed of it together and collaborate and water that and see how it kind of unfolds in so many different shapes and
I love the
spaces.
Consistency of it because I noticed that. I'm in the industry. I am inundated with invites and emails and things. I was just like, the look of this is like, it's consistent throughout. It was like, it's not just like, oh, some team over here did something and some team over there. It was very consistent. That takes leadership abilities as well as vision. Where are you going to lead this new voice? Because when I'm thinking about it, I could imagine that it's also going to be very inclusive, because if that's in your DNA of like getting everybody in, and that was the consumers, I would imagine more customer advocacy as well.
Absolutely.
From InMobi.
Absolutely, and that's the things we're working on now. How do we come up with our version of the CAB or the client advisory board, but I don't want to call it that because that sounds boring. How do we come up with the way that we have our advocates and we're building a community with our customers where it's a great two-way exchange where they're helping us and inputting our product roadmap or features or things we're working on, but how do we give them a platform and be able to help them build their own brand? So working through things like that right now. I think InMobi could own global culture in an interesting way. It truly is a global brand. And another reason I was inspired by this company, I love experiencing cultures. I love travel, spent my second week there in India. And it's so hard to convey that in marketing. I would love to tap into that more because the feeling you get in the office and the way that they're so proud of their heritage and their culture, and it's welcoming. And there's an Indian drum circle coming through the office when I was there because they had this big company event coming up, and they were doing this thing called the Oscars where they're spotlighting employees and their achievements. And that was to get people excited about it. Is really cool, and it's just really inspiring to be part of that, and going to our offsite in Hong Kong, and our London office representatives for Beijing, Singapore, Japan. You really getting the full spectrum of so many viewpoints. And I just think Vice did that well too. Like we own global culture in an interesting way that's relevant to U.S. audiences. As you know, in America we can be a little ethnocentric, but I think for our clients, and being able to own it in a way where, whether it's the food or music or different touch points, I think there's something to activate there.
There is something there.
On an upper funnel level, not everything needs to be, our DSP is the best because of this. Like our exchange, we get to a place where we get so in the weeds, the technical weeds, that for our audience, they just want to think of us, have us top of mind as a relevant player. And that also goes how we show up on social. And that video, LinkedIn was the primary platform, and I thought of it as I would TikTok or Instagram when I was at a consumer brand. Yes, we'll have to share our news, and it doesn't have to be serious all the time, though. We can have a lot of social first video. We can bring our employees and our culture to life in an interesting way, which we're starting to.
It's going to be great to watch.
To figure out. This is happening now, and what's very cool about InMobi, it's such a big. It's there's 3,000 people, so you've got this huge org, and once we can come up with some interesting franchises or ways we want to operationalize, we can syndicate those in different territories, and I feel that could be a really interesting
I'm
strategy
thinking the whole
to unlock.
time that everyone I'm talking with, they're either east going west or west going east. And brands that want to create brands, they want to create brand love. They want to be an app company because that's their roots, but they want to be a company. And so I'm just thinking the whole time, it's like they want to go global. So yeah, you're right. Tapping into that would resonate because brands, marketers, advertisers, they would then say, yes, it's a truly global brand.
Yeah.
So it understands, like over and over again, it's just understanding the local culture and the local heroes, so to speak, of the marketing, So in a way, I could totally see that.
One of my old bosses and mentors had said to me, when I started the job, he said, don't lose sight of the ideas you have when you first walk in, because you get sucked into everything that's going on and things get colored, but sometimes those are usually like your freshest thoughts that still hold true, in your journey at a new company. And I did come in with those initial thoughts, and I still think that they do hold true. And I think, and what's great, again, it's a first Indian unicorn company. This isn't, we're just offshoring everything to India. So please, we're pretending that we're
this
American.
Is the real
this
deal.
is really, it's a unique story. And that's part of what we're working on too, is just focusing on how we are showing up in our biggest market, which is the US, and making sure our press strategy, we're telling the right story about, there's so much to say. And even in the AI race between US and China, India is a major player, and we want to be the face of that for India. And I think rightfully so. So there's a lot of, it's fun here because there's a lot to unpack and harvest. There's goodies everywhere of good case studies or interesting content things we've done over. There's so much happening. It's moving so fast, but
and it's such a vast company. And these stories, I've followed you since the start. My own background is there's a book called Apponomics from 2013 that I authored together, collaborated with InMobi on, and it was just vast. The talent, the people, the stories, and to surface this, it's never really been done. I was always amazed when I was doing interviews. It's like how incredibly sharp. And this was 2013, and it was about behavioral targeting and omnichannel. Who was thinking about that?
Right.
Right? It was like 2 years after the iPad launched, and this was already the vision. You say you're on your journey to unlock, and I get where you're coming from here, but it's also about a team, right? So you're leading a team. So it's not just telling the story, but it's getting that story to travel, that it can be repeated across the team, that everyone owns also the story and embraces that. How are you approaching that? Because again, you came in just recently. Congratulations, Mal versus Machine in 3 months. That's impressive.
Thank you. Naveen and Ave, when I started, I said, we just need to take a tiny bit of American narcissism, and you're very humble here. We're doing such great work, and you're just heads down on the innovation, and I think we could be a little bit more, not chest beaty, but let's beat the drama, and let's evangelize all the great work that we're doing, and packaging all of this amazing, exciting stories and different pieces of content, and there's just a lot that exists that we just need to package and present and kind of elevate the
So you're getting me
story
enthusiastic. How do you get your team enthusiastic? Because that's your job.
Yes.
It's like you need that. It's a story that needs to travel, that they need to embrace. I can totally see it. I'm not on your team, though. You convinced me. What do you do to convince them?
I always considered myself like a benevolent cult leader. I have this, I just naturally get very excited. I'm very excitable. I love a good idea. It doesn't matter if the idea comes from the CEO or, you know, an intern. It doesn't matter to me. And I just love collaborating and building and brainstorming and workshopping together. So, and I have a strong point of view. Usually it doesn't mean I can't change my mind or like want to, let's talk it out. But I come in where I want people to feel like they're going to really work. We're going to work really hard, and that's always part of what I do, because I always want to punch above our weight, and let's come up, set our sight on something that's beyond us, but let's kind of buckle down and do it together. And there's something about that that's always rewarding for any team that I've managed, where you know, we set our sights high.
Some stretch goals.
We stretch. We work off of each other, and then and we get to. And I always want to do great work, and I want people to be proud of what you do. So when we come up with a fun theme like this, and I bring in a freelance designer who, you know, was basically working around the clock pulling this off, and working on Can right now and Possible, but he had the best time even just working on all the graphics for the event last night and kind of over delivering, because as creative people we get excited about it and we're building it. And I think experiential is one of the best places to see that come to life, because the rest of the company comes and they get to
they feel impressed, you know, they feel it stands for something, and also they're proud, you know, because let's face it, ad tech can be really dull. Really dull, and you have to stand out. And yes, you could stand out with your USPs, but with our attention span, you have to get my attention.
Exactly.
And you have to impress me or touch me or move me in some way.
100%. I always say, for another tenant, nobody cares. So we all are up in our world and thinking about all the ins and outs of what we want to talk about, whether it's, you know, a brand story, a product. We get in our own heads, but we have to take a step back, because the rest of the market, everyone's busy. They're running around. They have so many inputs. We're so naturally, I think, ADD just because of, I mean, even now, like Teams and Slack and WhatsApp and text and email, and you're just overwhelmed. So we have to make people care. So how do you? And usually that's simplifying a story, or coming up with an interesting creative hook,
or making it relatable
or fun, or even little touches and details people will appreciate, because then you're respecting me and my time. And B2B, you're all consumers. They're just wearing a professional hat. So I think that's another misstep. I'm like, they're people. We can
B2B or people too.
We can create a matrix of the, you know, the ICP, and if this one, you know, is over here and they do this and they're wearing a blue shirt, talk to them that way, and it just, but it doesn't matter. Actually, let's take a step back. They're all humans. We need to at least just get them to pay attention to what we have to say, and less is more, I think, sometimes. And simple acts of creativity, especially marketers are a big audience that we're trying to go after, appreciate good marketing.
And you want to create advocates, so you want to have it something that they feel that speaks to them, right? That comes through the story, that comes through the experience. You want to, you know, create more than impression. It's messaging. It's supposed to be, you know, I always say effective and emotive. That's the whole point. It has to work, but it has to touch us at some level. So what do you want InMobi to stand for? What do you want it to create in the potential, we'll say consumer, customer, which means the marketer, but maybe just mortals. What should that be looking like?
I mean, I think we want to just be known as excellence in global technology. And I think the weaving the story, obviously, Glance is the future and where this company is really putting their bet on, and it's the first time they've dabbled into a consumer outlet. But and AI, really like doubling down on how AI and really best in class agentic innovation is going to make people's lives easier and discovery.
I mean, I've seen it demoed. It completely transforms what you think about with shopping, because it is, shopping is an experience, but now it's like your experience, and how can you imagine things? I can't think of another way to describe it, because there's nothing else like it.
Which is fun, because it really is
so you've got like a category,
a new category that
exactly.
you're defining. But I think what it is doing is helping just helping people feel good about themselves. And I think that's what we want to make sure we rally around. And we've had conversations about this. We don't want it to, the angle with Glance is not, shopping is so tiring and taxing and please make it easier for me. It's actually, hey, I didn't even think that I would look good in something like this. I'm so in my own habit of the same things. And wow, that is really interesting. I've now didn't even think I was looking for something, and I've already, it's right here at my fingertips. And I think we all need that in this world. And there's a lot of heaviness and a lot of anxiety. And I think, why not have something that can make you feel a little bit more inspired or better about yourself throughout the day, and a community around that where you can really like share and relate to other people, and make that fun. Even my husband tried Glance, and he's wears the same 5 t-shirts, I would say.
You got the same husband I do.
Yeah, I know. For men, and people go, oh, it's so female. I'm like, actually, he loved it. First, was so impressed by the tech, and just bought something immediately. He said, I would never have ever thought to, he doesn't even want to be bothered to even think about shopping. And he bought some Patagonia sweater right away. And then just even look, I'm like, hey, I like that guy. That looks great. I think it's just really, it's cool. And it's definitely
because
a
sometimes you just
thing.
need, it's just like sometimes a little bit of inspiration, a little nudge, just like, why not? And here it's like, yes, because is literally at my fingertips. I can see it. I can try different things and try something different, right?
Right.
So,
and see how I look and what's good for me. And the more you engage with it and feed the intelligence, the smarter it will get, and the better recommendations.
Yeah,
and we have all these incredible deals with all of these partners. Yeah. It's not just the app. We're on DIRECTV. We're on Google TVs. We're going to be, on Samsung TVs. This is transforming, horizontally and vertically how people are thinking about shopping. And I love just learning something new in my professional journey, and this is very exciting because it really is it's such startup energy. And when you feel at any company, I've always been the happiest when you feel like you're building and you're all part of something together, and there's trial and error. Not everything is clean, and it's pretty chaotic, but I thrive in chaos, so I enjoy that. I don't know. Whenever I'm at any company and it gets kind of boring, is always, as my husband said, and then you're leaving and then you're starting something else. And
because it is exciting. It is exciting to shape things, and it is exciting to feel you can shape something, right? And what I love about when I think about Glance and then the message and the story you have to be bringing, I mean, it's just so, if you can see it, you can be it. I mean, how can that not be empowering?
Exactly.
So we talked about how you're going to transform the messaging, cultivate a community, which will be great because it is there. It's a massive company with a huge customer base. Give them a voice, and it will take you places. What do you want to be saying to me is the contribution?
I think once we build the marketing team out and we can have more support, I'm hoping we go to one of these events, and I saw it happening at Video Amp a bit too, where we didn't get a lot of RSVPs, and then by the end of my 2 years, everybody wants to come to our event, and they know that you show up in a way that people want to be there. Like, I'm just hoping InMobi is going to be like on wildfire between constantly in the press, constant thought leadership, steady drumbeat on our socials, really moving the needle with the U.S. audience, which is what we're trying to build right now, and let that match our customer base. People are asking us to be speaking on all types of panels and participating in events, and really wanting to work with us, even growing that customer base even more than ever, and people really knowing what Glance is. We're building it as a household name, but to get to that point and to be a definitive leader in agentic commerce when there's a lot of players right now. I think all of that is where we're hoping to go. And and I think we have the permission to do it, and we have the goods, and we have the momentum and their energy, and I think that's really exciting. So
I can see it in you, though, because you have that energy. You want to build, you want to shape, you want to change, transform, and also bring in and bring out the best in us as people. I can see that with you as a person, that you see something, like you said, you delve in, see what's in the DNA, and and bring that from the core to the surface. So I have to say, Meghan, if anyone can do it, you certainly can.
oh,
I feel the energy.
That.
I really do.
I appreciate that.
It has been such a pleasure, and I will enjoy seeing what you do. And hey, the party was great last night. So
great.
It was fantastic, and the robots, they leave an impression. So you're on your way. And look, that's just a couple months in. Who knows what's going to be like in just a couple more.
Exactly, with more time to plan, which I'd love to get ahead of it. But that's what we did with not a lot of time. So I think already I've heard the response, oh, let's go bigger next year. So which is always what you want to do. So I look forward to continuing to just kind of kick it up to the next level.
I look forward to continuing the conversation. May I say?
Thank you so much.
You rock, Meghan.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.